Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Gravekeeper deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely fun classic deck that is one of the best graveyard lockdown decks in the game. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Again, your name, description, every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Gravekeeper's Commandant. This card is a definite 3-of in the deck that lets you discard it to the graveyard to be able to add Necro Valley from your deck to your hand, which is an amazing effect because we want to get to Necro Valley extremely quickly. We then play 3 copies of Gravekeeper's Spiritualist. This card is basically walking polymerization, which helps you go in for your copy of your boss monster, Supernaturalist, which is so cool about this card. We then play 2 copies of Gravekeeper's Headman. This card is really good because it's basically walking Monster Reborn, because if this card is summoned, you can target a level 4 Gravekeeper monster in the graveyard and special summon it in attack position or face down defense position. And you only affect this card once per turn, but it's also unaffected by Necro Valley, which is a great thing about this card because your copy of Necro Valley is going to lock down the graveyard. We then play a single copy of Gravekeeper's Heretic. This card is a really good 1-of in the deck, and I absolutely love this card because it has the ability, this card on the field is unaffected by all other card effects as long as Necro Valley is on the field, which is a really cool ability about this card, and I absolutely love that. It makes it super cool to be able to just put this card on the field and make it unaffected by everything, which is just really amazing. We then play a single copy of Dark Magician, the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense, and a single copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon. These cards come in extremely handy in the deck to help us summon out Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, because establishing Red Eyes Dark Dragoon and Necro Valley usually means you win the game, which is just absolutely amazing, especially with all the different trap cards we have in the deck to back those cards up. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get in to the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Terraforming. Terraforming is an amazing 1-of in the deck that helps us get to our copy of Necro Valley extremely quickly. We then play 2 copies of Hidden Temples of Necro Valley. This card is really good as a 2-of in the deck because this card helps you lock down your opponent, because you can only activate this card if both a Gravekeeper monster and Necro Valley are on the field, and neither player can special summon monsters except for Gravekeeper monsters, and if either a Gravekeeper monster or Necro Valley is not on the field, you destroy this card, which is super easy to keep those cards on the field because you always want to have Necro Valley on the field, and once you establish a card like Supernaturalist with this card, you've probably won the game. We then play 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. Pot of Prosperity is really good as a 3-of in the deck, just to help us dig into the deck for the exact cards that we need. We then play 3 copies of Necro Valley Throne. Necro Valley Throne is basically the Rhoda for the deck. This card helps out a lot because it lets us add a Gravekeeper monster from our deck to our hand, or immediately effect results, you get to normal summon a Gravekeeper monster. We're always using this card as a Rhoda to be able to search out a Gravekeeper monster from our deck to our hand. We then play 3 copies of Royal Tribute. Royal Tribute is one of the most powerful cards in the entire deck. This card is absolutely insane because if you control Necro Valley, both players discard any monsters in their hand, which is a really powerful effect because it's super easy to establish Necro Valley on our side of the field, and we already play a very low monster count in the deck. So this card is really good in the deck, and why you don't see any monster hand traps in this build is because of this card. You don't have a bunch of monster hand traps or monsters in your hand when you activate this card, so you can basically just set a bunch of trap cards to your side of the field and control the board when your opponent has to discard basically their entire hand. This card is amazing as a 3-of in the deck and is super easy to get to in this deck. We then play 3 copies of Necro Valley. Necro Valley is one of the most powerful field spells ever created. It gives all of our Gravekeeper monsters an additional 500 attack and defense points, when it basically locks down the graveyard, which is just absolutely amazing. This card is a definite 3-of in the deck, and it's so easy to get to because you can search it off your copy of Commandant, Terraforming. You can even search out your copy of Commandant off Throne, basically making Throne 3 copies of Terraforming, basically searching the searcher, which is amazing. But this card is a definite 3-of the deck, and it's basically what the entire deck is based around. We then play 3 copies of Red Eyes Fusion. Red Eye's Fusion is amazing as a 3-of in the deck, just to give us an additional boss monster that we can summon out to our side of the field, because Red Eye's Dark Dragoon plus your copy of Necro Valley usually just means you win the game, which is just absolutely crazy. This card is a definite 3-of in the deck, and it's just really easy to summon out Dragoons in this build. So, that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start with a single copy of Necro Valley Temple. Necro Valley Temple is a great 1-of in the deck, but you really only need a single copy of this card. It has the ability to, while a Gravekeeper monster and Necro Valley are both on the field, monsters that your opponent control lose 500 attack and defense, which is great to combo with your copy of Necro Valley, putting basically a gap of 1,000 attack points between your opponent's monsters and your Gravekeeper monsters, because Necro Valley will make them go up by 500 attack and defense points for all your Gravekeeper monsters, and this card will make all your opponent's monsters go down by 500, we're making it super easy to go through your opponent's monsters. This card also has a great ability once per turn during the main phase. If you control no card in your field spell zone, you can activate a Necro Valley directly from your hand or graveyard, making it so you can put your copy of Necro Valley back on your side of the field, which is really cool. And if this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to the grave, you can set one Necro Valley spell or trap directly from your deck, so if your opponent does decide to deal with this card, you're basically getting Necro Valley. We then play a single copy of Imperial Tombs of Necro Valley. This card is a really good 1-of in the deck. You could play it at 2, but I feel like 1 is really all you need with all the other traps we're playing in the deck. But it's really good because when a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated while both Necro Valley and a Gravekeeper monster are on the field, negate the activation when you destroy it, basically being a Solemn Judgment, which is really cool. We then play 3 copies of Torrential Tribute. Torrential Tribute is an amazing 3-of in the deck because both of our main boss monsters in this deck basically just walk through this card, being Dragoon and Supernaturalist, which is really cool to be able to just activate this card and destroy our opponent's monsters but not destroy ours, because our copies of Dragoon and Supernaturalist will just walk through this card. Plus, you know, you need a little bit of water with all the sand. We then play 3 copies of Crackdown. Crackdown is really good in the deck as a 3-of because this card helps out a lot in the deck. So it lets you target a face-up monster your opponent controls and take control of that opponent's monster, which is a great effect to be able to use in this deck to basically just take through your opponent's monster so that you can have it on your side of the field. And it also has the ability that while you control that monster, it cannot attack or activate its effects, but we can link it away, making it super easy to deal with. We then play 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. Solemn Judgment basically says no to anything, which is why we're playing this card as a 3-of in the deck, and it just helps out so much in this build to be able to flip this card against your opponent and just basically stop anything that you need to. So that's it for the traps, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start with 3 copies of Gravekeeper's Supernaturalist. This card is an amazing 3-of boss monster. I absolutely love this card. It gains attack and defense equal to the combined original level of the materials used for its fusion summon times 100. And usually you're going to increase this card up by about 800 attack points, putting it 2,800, but it's pretty big when you summon it out to your side of the field. And then while Necro Valley is on the field, this card and any card in your field spell zone cannot be destroyed by card effects, making it really hard for your opponent to deal with this card, especially with cards like Torrential Tribute being able to activate and just this card not be affected by it. It also has a really cool ability that during your main phase you can activate this effect, that during the end phase of this turn you get to add a Gravekeeper monster or a Necro Valley card from your deck to your hand, which is a really cool ability. We then play a single copy of Red Eye's Dark Dragoon. This card is a really good 1-of boss monster that's super easy to summon to your side of the field, and basically it just is a walking negate for discarding a card. It cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects, and also since we're putting vanilla monsters into this card, we can pop cards on the field and then deal damage to our opponent equal to those monsters' attack points, which is just absolutely insane. We then play a single copy of Baguska. Baguska is just really good in the deck because you can make this card and lock down your opponent even more, which is just amazing. Play a single copy of Utopia. Utopia is great in the deck, so we can make a copy of Utopia Lightning. Utopia the Lightning is really good in this deck as a 1-of because this card just comes out at 5,000 and just swings over stuff, which is amazing. And basically just playing Utopia and Utopia the Lightning means you don't have to play double or nothing in the deck, so you don't have to play more bricks in the deck because we're already playing a Red Eyes and Dark Magician. So by playing this, you just get basically a 5,000 attack point monster. We then play a single copy of Typhon. Typhon's great in the deck because it's so easy to make, and it's a really big monster that you can basically make at any time in the deck, which is just super cool. We then play a single copy of Double A Zeus. Double A Zeus is amazing as well in the deck because this card just board wipes the field. We then play a single copy of Access Code. Access Code's amazing as a 1-of in the deck, so we can pop multiple cards on the field, and it gets really big to help you OTK the opponent. You don't summon it all the time, but it's a good option. We then play a single copy of Nightmare Unicorn to spin stuff. One copy of Nightmare Phoenix to pop spells and traps, Nightmare Cerberus to pop monsters. These are really good in the deck as one each, so you can basically just deal with anything your opponent puts on the board. We then play a single copy of SP Little Knight. You don't have to play this card, but it's really good in the deck. You can change it out for any other Link 2 or another rank 4 that you might want to play, like a copy of Tornado Dragon if you want to, but it's still really good in the deck because if this card is Link summoned using a Fusion, Synchro, XZ, or Link monster as a material, you can target one card on the field or in either player's grave and banish it, but you can't attack directly this turn. And when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can actually target 2 face-up monsters on the field, including a monster you control, and banish them both until the end phase, which is an insane effect, so you're usually targeting this card and an opponent's monster just to be able to get them off the field. We then finally play a single copy of IP Masquerena. IP is really good in the deck because you make your copy of Unicorn or SP Little Knight on your opponent's turn so you can use their abilities. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is absolutely insane. If you guys have never played Gravekeeper before, you should definitely give this deck a try. It's amazing how good this deck still is, especially with cards like Necro Valley, which is just one of the most powerful field spells ever created. It's super fun to be able to play, and I absolutely love doing classic deck profiles like this. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys. Hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.